I'm here today acting as you, so that you can give yourself one of the secrets to manifestation. Everyone is you pushed out, right? Which means that you have sent out a desire with your manifestation abilities, whatever we should call it. Your awareness, your consciousness, the thing that we here on the channel call God, Allah, Source, consciousness. So we believe that that's the whole thing. But you've sent out a desire into the universe, and I'm now one of the answers, right? Nothing is random. Every YouTube video you see, it's for you. So stick around, because this is then you talking to yourself. I'm going to give you a very valuable piece on any manifestation journey. And it is recognizing that you can pick any story you want and have it in a very little time. Let's start with 3 examples. You are just your awareness. I've showed you that before. You only have the present moment. I've told you that before. But it's hard to know more than intellectually. You can say the same words, but it's not always that you experience it, right? I want to give you that now moment right now. So imagine that you're looking at me right now, or your room, and imagine that your eyes right now, you're aware of also what you can see with your eyes. Imagine that your awareness right now is then a camera, and I have access to that camera, and we took a picture. You can take a picture with your eyes right now, right? And you have a whole story to tell about that image. What you did earlier today, what you're going to do later today. But recognize that your now moment right now actually does not contain that information. Your mind does. If that camera, if I had access to it and I could see your image, it would maybe be creepy, but I could not tell that story. I could see a room that I could be aware of. And if it was like an updating image, I could also see the story. The subtitles on the image I could see right now would then be the thoughts you gave to yourself. So your entire assumption, right? We call it an assumption. I call it the law of knowing, what you know, what you walk around knowing all the time. Without reality actually showing it to you, you keep it in your system, you keep it in your awareness. The now moment is actually just the frame. It's always just your current frame. But you keep so much in that now moment. So notice the difference between what I could see and tell based on that now moment and what you right now is telling yourself, just as you're watching this video, right? You could also show me, maybe you have like a scratch on your thigh or your leg, whatever. And you could look at that and I would be able to see that. And you have a story that, yeah, it's because of this and this and this, but I would only be able to guess. And that's what you're doing with your reality. You're guessing. But the problem is with you is that you're guessing in the direction of your current reality. And what I'm actually saying to you right now is that it's only your now moment. Picture it as a circle. In the next video, I will draw it for you on the iPad. So subscribe to the channel so that you'll get that video. That will be very clarifying on this subject. Imagine that your awareness is a circle, and that's the now moment. And everything around it is actually just your knowing. It's just the assumptions you keep in that present moment. So you're in a frame. I won't take that away from you. You are in a room right now, right, looking a certain way. But the story you include all around it has so many timelines in it. If I looked at the image and I should guess, maybe you have a scratch because you have been out working out. Maybe you have a scratch because you are playing football, soccer. Maybe you have a scratch because you went camping. So I could build a huge story. And that is actually what you should do to manifest. You should recognize that it's only what you decide as a story in your now moment that is true. That is the story that is being sent out. It's your knowing that is actually your frequency. that translates to your reality. So reality is showing you something in through your head. That's not really how it works, but imagine that's how it works. It's running through your mind. Mind tells a story, sends that story to awareness, and awareness spits it out as reality that will confirm that story. That is, for example, what is happening when you're saying it has not manifested yet. You look at a reality that is not showing you your manifestation. You are telling a story. It has not manifested, sending it to awareness. Awareness then producing a reality where it has not manifested. And now you know what to send to awareness. You need to send to awareness, it has manifested. It is already here. Right? Because the story could be anything. Another example. So the first example, let's call that the cameraman. Imagine that there's no story. You're taking your current frame and giving it to someone, asking them to tell a story. Okay? So to liberate yourself from your current story, realizing that's not true. Awareness is just here, aware of a frame. It's always just aware. Next example is a movie. If I gave you an image from a movie and asked you to give me a summary of the movie, you couldn't. You wouldn't be able to. That's simply not how you judge movies. But it would be so weird if you did what you do right now with your reality if you watched movies with your friends. Maybe you're watching a movie for the second time with your friends. And it just started and you started crying. Because the two main characters in the movie are not together yet. And you start crying and you say, I'm just so sad they're not together. They're meant to be together. And your friends say, but we just watched this yesterday. They are ending up together. Yeah, but I'm just so sad they're not together right now. Right? Deciding on a story based on what you see right now. And not just taking whatever story would match that as well. That they are not together right now means nothing in terms of them being together. Realize that means absolutely nothing. It has nothing to do with whether or not they end up together. If you were then the director of that movie, if your friends then asked you, would you like to change the movie? You could then have an assumption. You could tell the story, no, but it's actually because they will end up being together. You could do that, or you could tell another story and then they will actually never get each other. And there's actually a third very powerful option, and that is telling the story that what you just saw does not belong in your life. That what you saw means absolutely nothing. Denying it and simply recognizing in my awareness they are together. That's my assumption. That was the second example. Third example is you're walking in a museum with your mom and dad. Your mom and dad asked you to go to Rome. You are an adult right now, but they asked, shouldn't we just take one last trip? Just you and us. We go and we sightseeing. We go sightseeing in Rome. And you go to a museum, and every time you look at a famous piece of art, you tell a story. Right? You won't just let the frame be the frame. No, you say to your mom and your dad, before this image, she's not in Rome, but Mona Lisa, she actually, right before this image, she was laughing. Right? Imagine you did that. Your parents would be like, would you please shut your mouth? You're ruining this. We're supposed to give interpretation in stories to art. That's the beautiful part of it. But recognize the judgment you are giving to your current frame as if that frame is hurting you. Well, in fact, that frame to awareness it's meaningless. It has nothing to offer you before judgment. It is your mind, your devil, as we call it here on the channel, that judges your current frame. And once you start recognizing that you are always in the present moment, you are just awareness. If you don't believe me, close your eyes and maybe do it in other videos. I've talked about this so many times. Close your eyes, just be aware. Notice what comes up in your head, thoughts, images. Go to memories, go to imagination, and recognize they are all the same thing. We have multiple words for it as human beings, but they are all the same thing. Right? Because then you recognize awareness is always in the now moment. Awareness is the now moment. Awareness is God. It's just aware. And you are then piloting, or you are in charge actually, of, okay, what do I serve my awareness? What story am I holding? And that's so very powerful because that is how you change your life. I've had many clients, and the thing that does it is that when they finally not intellectually know awareness, but experience it as the only thing they are. When they spend so much time in awareness that they recognize, but I can fear nothing because everything I'm looking at is meaningless without my mind. It means nothing. I can tell a story. Even you looking at a lottery ticket right now, and it's not the winning lottery ticket, that could happen to a guy that just won the lottery. Imagine a guy that just won the jackpot and then buying another and not winning. So that frame actually means nothing in terms of the total story, but you're deciding that because you see this, let's take it again, you will not win the lottery. You have never won the lottery, and this ticket is actually not a winning lottery ticket. And that's 3 faulty assumptions. It's 3 stories where you do not decide the outcome. You simply look at reality for confirmation. But reality is your creation. So it makes absolutely no sense to look at a losing lottery ticket and say I didn't win. Right? It makes no sense to give that to awareness. When you can settle in the fact that I will need to give the mirror, some people call it the mirror, right? I will need to give my awareness what I would like to see. That is what I mean when I say you need to become your manifestations. You will need to say it has manifested. That's the story. And that story, you have an entire story. Expectations for what you need to do after this video. Expectations about what you need to do tomorrow. What bills you have. What gave you those bills. What debt you took on. What love relationships hurt you in the past. You have so much information in this now moment. And that's your mind. That's not awareness. And God, awareness, consciousness, Allah, whatever, is asking you to liberate yourself. That's why God is called the most merciful being. It's telling you, awareness does not believe that story. Awareness does not give you that story. You're giving it. The devil is giving it to awareness. It's the opposite way around. Right? So that is actually how easy it is to manifest. Once you recognize that your current frame does not include automatically that story. The story is yours to tell. The frame is there. You can accept it or deny it. That doesn't really matter. What matters is that you will now recognize that nothing that could go on ever would make any change in your awareness unless you said so. Unless you said so. But I think this doesn't matter. But I feel this. What does that have to do with who you are and the story you tell? But I dreamt this. Yes, again. But I experienced this. Yes, again. But I could go on, right? It does not matter to your story. It does not matter. So what I'm giving you before we end the video is the ability to go from your current frame into a totally new story just by telling it right now. Go through the examples I gave you and recognize that you can feel pain in a healthy body. Every healthy person watching this video have felt pain. But you're the one that feels pain and tells the story that you're sick. Every person in this video has tried to get a huge bill, but you're the one telling the story. Your mind is telling you the story that you have a huge bill that you cannot pay. And that's who you are, and that's how you should be. That's what the devil does. So you need to seek the kingdom within you. As within, so without. You need to change your inside. And that's your story. And it's yours. It's your reality. And everyone you look at, including me right now. So you're only watching this video because you needed it on your journey. Right? But I'm you. I'm happening in your awareness right now. That's how it is. So delete the story. Liberate yourself from that story. Spend some time after watching this video, or tonight, whatever, and you close your eyes and you recognize all I have is now. All I have is God, my awareness. There's no time in there. If you close your eyes and you just, when is the next thought going to appear? When is the next image going to appear? Who is aware of this? Slowly just work with that awareness and start meditating on it. You'll find yourself in a position where you recognize, this is me. I am my awareness. And I decide what I am aware of being. That is what Neville meant when he said that you should imagine yourself differently. He did not ask you to, as most of you are doing right now, to imagine the world differently, to imagine new things. No, he did actually not do that. He asked you to do something about you. So Abdullah did not tell Neville Goddard, go imagine Barbados tonight, Neville. No, he said, Neville, you are already in Barbados. For those of you who don't know that story, Neville Goddard, famous guy in this industry, wanted to go to Barbados. And he asked his friend Abdullah, what should I do? And Abdullah's advice was, you are already in Barbados, which is what I'm talking about, the story you're telling. Right? So he took his current snapshot frame of the room he was in, and he recognized that frame is now in a movie where I'm in Barbados. Even maybe now in the movie, maybe I used to be in that, or maybe I will be, but it's in my movie. I carry around that knowing, and that's frequency, my ladies and gentlemen. Emotions, they are not frequencies. As a matter of fact, a lot of my clients, they tell me we manifest most when we are in a bad mood. It's always when they are just, I don't know, having the flu and they're watching Netflix, and then everything comes. So it has nothing to do about that. You don't need to feel good, and you don't need to think good. You need to recognize what movie you're walking in. Go do it. Go do you. Go get the thing. Go get the love. Go get the health. You have it. And now, I want to say thank you for being here, but I'm talking as you, right? So, yeah. Thanks to yourself. Bye. Get out of here.